Okay guys, I'm going to kind of put this video in between my other videos because there's been some people wanting to know something about my truck. I was going to do a video earlier than this, but I just haven't got around to it. So I thought, well, you know what? While I'm here and resting for a couple days, I might as well just get the video in. So it's you probably already know this, it's a 2022 Chevy 3500 dually with the 6.6 gas engine. So let's just go outside for a quick little walk around the truck. I'll show you what I've done to the suspension, which is not a whole lot, to be honest. And then we'll come back in and I'll just talk more about it. All right, so let's go. All right, guys, so let's talk about the truck. It is a 2022 High Country 3500 HD with the 6.6 liter gas engine. So I've had a lot of comments, obviously, about why I picked the gas over the diesel, and I will show you this I talk about this once I get back in the camper. But yeah, there's JJ rocking the Canadian flag in the front of the camper. It is a beautiful day out here today. So one thing I do really like about what Chevy did. Now this is a 22, like I said. I'm not sure if the 23s, if the other automakers did this, but with the Chevy truck, GMs, that they actually put the exact rating for your truck, your build, on the sticker. So you don't have to go to the computer, you don't have to look up their website, you don't have to do anything like that. It's actually on there. So let me go get my glasses. That's better. Okay, so here we go. Down here. Now, you can see by the numbers here, the GVWR, gross vehicle weight rating, is 14,000 pounds. And then the gross combined vehicle rating is 24,000 pounds. And the curb weight is 7,718 pounds. And the max payload is 6,282. So the gross vehicle weight rating is 14,000 pounds. So that's the weight of the truck and its belongings that are in the truck, whether it's in the box or in the front of the thing. The entire truck cannot weigh more than 14,000 pounds. The gross combined rating, that's the truck and your trailer, is 24,000 pounds. And that is for this build, guys. Again, that is for this build. And your curb weight, so the weight of the truck is 7,718. And the max payload is 6,282. So the max trailer, conventional tow trailer, is 16,200. Max tongue weight is 1,620 pounds. So your gooseneck trailer, 15,900 pounds. And then the max tongue weight of that is 2,385 pounds on the gooseneck. So now, to me, almost the more important one is this one here. So what they're talking about is your weight rating, so your front axle and your rear axles. So again, there's your 14,000 pounds for the entire truck. The front axle is rated at 5,600 pounds, and the rear axle is rated at 10,500 pounds. That's for this truck. So that one there to me is more important. So your tires, what they're rated for, and your axles. So what I did is when I took this truck, before I left Ontario, I went down to our local green elevators, and that's exactly what I did. So I put the truck on there, then I took the camper off. But when the camper was on, I drove just with the front axles and got the weight on that. And I'll look it up here in the book. And then I did it for the rear axle. Now, I'll guarantee you this truck's heavier now than when I left Ontario, because like everything else, now I have a generator. I didn't have a generator before and stuff like that. So when I go back, almost before I do anything. Before I do anything, I'm going to put this thing back on the scale to see where I'm sitting at right now. But what did I do for upgrades to suspension? Not a lot. I ordered the truck with the camper special and with the snowplow prep package. The snowplow prep package gave me the front sway bar and stuff like that. They didn't put a rear sway bar on it. I don't know why, but that's going to be one of my upgrades is a sway bar and better shocks. But I'll show you what I did to the truck. So the camper package, this is my back brush, I need to point, is 3 helper springs. And I do believe it's 1 extra compared to just a regular stock. They give you 1 extra leaf spring with the camper special. This is torque lifts, stable loads, the upper ones, and then I'll show you the lower ones. Now, as you notice, this one's kind of sliding over here, and I don't know, they should make a groove on their hard plastic here to keep this thing from moving. So there's a bolt that goes up, a stud goes up through here, and every time I do it, within a day it slides back this way again. So I think what I'm going to do is get a piece of flat bar and then take these 2 bolts off, put it on here, and then off the flat bar, weld a piece coming over this way to set up against this edge here and keep this thing from sliding over. But it just stays that way, and it's been that way now for a while, so I just left it. So that's the upper ones, because normally it's on the bottom of this little shoe here, there's just a piece of rubber. So this obviously engages these springs quicker, and that's what the lower ones do too. So you can see these are the 3 main springs, and then this is the overload spring, this big beefy one at the bottom here. Well, this thing bolts to there, and I don't know if you can see it, but inside there's little shims, and same thing. It activates this spring sooner. So that helps to take some sway out, or sag out, sorry, not sway, sag. But it does help with the swaying also. And then there's the rear one there. So there's also the helper in here too, and this one on top. See, on this one's nice and straight. I don't know why the bottom one's not, or the front one's not like that, but anyways, and that's basically all I did for suspension. I didn't do, there's no airbags on this, and I don't want to put airbags. Yeah, that's all I've done is just the torque lift stable loads. So while I'm back here, I'll show you what I did too. So obviously because of the fiberglass, and it's way back there, that I wanted some mud flaps, and just a regular mud flap is not going to allow stop this. So this one's not that far off the ground. But what I did is I just took a piece of 1-inch square aluminum stock tubing here, and I slid it between the frame and the box. So it goes all the way to the other side, and then I just bolted the mud flap to it. It can't go that way because the mud flap touches here, and then on the other side, it's the same way. It can't come this way because of the mud flap. And all I did was put some tie wraps here, and that's it. That's what holds this whole thing in there. It doesn't, there's no other bolts or nothing else. This is not against the frame. Now, I saw a picture on I don't even know where I saw it, whether it was on YouTube or somewhere, where a guy bolted a pair of mud flaps like this to his fender, and it was a Ford, and it ripped the fender right off the truck. So Dodge and Chevy, they have a molded fender, where the Fords, they bolt the plastic fender right onto the box, and it ripped it right off. So this way, if something ever did happen, all it's going to do is damage this thing here. It won't touch the truck. And also what I did is to help make sure I don't run over my own mud flap, is I put these chains up here to the tie down. So with a tie down like this won't allow it, because when you're backing up, which I have before, in tall grass or whatever, I don't want this to get folded under the tire because it will rip that off. So it's been on there for a year now, and I'll be honest, I've never had a problem with it. But yeah, guys, that's about it for the suspension upgrades. Like I said, the front has a sway bar. I've never touched the front here. So there's the torsion bars, and there's the sway bar right there. Why they don't put a sway bar on the rear, I have no idea. So my 2 upgrades I want to do also is I want to put a sway bar, and that'll help on the obviously swaying, and I want to put better shocks. These are the stock shocks, and they could definitely be better. So Fox 2.0 maybe, or I think they're called 2.0s. I'll probably end up, I'm not saying I'm going to go with the Fox, but I know they make one. But I'll do some more research and maybe ask around or whatever. Or if any of you guys know of a good shock that works really well, let me know. Leave it in the comments. All right, so let's go back inside. All right, guys, now that you've seen a little bit on the outside, let's talk about the truck. Okay. The truck. So it is a 6.6 liter. It is a cast iron engine. This is a cast iron. It's built for the heavy duty truck. Now the horsepower output is not the same because it's not a performance vehicle. It's meant for working. It is a 401.1 cubic inch cast engine. It is a 401 horsepower and 464 foot-pounds of torque. So that's about the engine. The fuel tank, it's 136 liters or 36 gallons is the fuel tank. Nice thing about this engine is there's no cylinder deactivation. So there's that management system where they shut off the cylinders and all that. This one is just it's a new engine, but it's a plain Jane built engine, which I really like. So I think this engine came to the 6.6 started in 2020, I do believe. What have I found out about the engine? Well, I find between the 1500 and 2500, it is very torquey and it gets up and goes. But once I find my RPM over top of that, and then I go to put my foot into it, it seems to it doesn't seem to have the same torque anymore for some reason. Even though the highest torque reading was around 4 grand, it just didn't seem as peppy at that RPM. From standstill to 2500, she gets up and goes. What else? Sorry, I had to write stuff down because obviously I'm not going to remember everything. Why did I buy a gas engine truck over the Duramax diesel? Well, before I bought the truck, obviously I sat down, I did pros and cons. The first thing is, it's almost a $12,000 option. The second thing was, you lose payload rating. Because the diesel engine and transmission is quite a bit heavier than the gas engine, I lose about 900 pounds of payload, right? The trucks are the same. They don't build a separate truck for a diesel or a separate truck. The frames are the same. Everything's the same except the engine and transmission. So you lose 900 pounds of payload, which comes to my second part. I'm not pulling a 40-foot trailer. I'm carrying a load, which is my truck camper. So payload is more important. And because I'm not pulling a 40-foot trailer, I don't need all that torque that comes from a diesel engine. So that's another reason why I went with the gas. It's a $12,000 option for diesel that I don't need. I'm carrying, I'm not pulling. I do a lot of back roads traveling, which obviously you know if you watch my videos. If I'm in a small town and something ever happens, every single mechanic that you run into can work on a gas engine. Very few can work on a diesel engine. So that was another big thing for me. If I run into a gas station out in the middle of nowhere, they're going to have gas. Not every gas station has diesel. I don't have to worry about DEF fluid. You go to get an oil change on a diesel engine, I'll be honest, I don't know because I don't have one, but I'm thinking it's going to be around $300. I just got I'm still in the US here, so I just got an oil change done on this truck, and it was $56. So that's another reason why. And I am actually able to work on engines myself, right? I had a 95 Tahoe for years. The only time it went into the shop is when the transmission needed rebuilding. Other than that, I changed the intake manifold. I did all that stuff. I have no problems working on a gas engine myself, but Obviously, it's a new truck. I don't have to, but just saying. Um, so, what else do I have written down here on the truck? Okay, the truck itself, I just told you, the curb weight is 7718 pounds. When I put this on the scale before I left my town, so I had everything in the truck. I had my totes behind me, didn't have a generator, didn't have all that other stuff, but I just had the bare stuff when I left Ontario. I went across the scales and it was 8,620 pounds, 3,910 kilos. So almost 1,000 pounds more from a curb weight to my loaded weight. Now I had fuel in it and stuff like that. That's the difference. The gross vehicle weight rating on this truck is 14,000 pounds. So I went across the scales with just the truck, and then I put the truck camper on it and went across the scales. It came in at 5,960 kilos, which is 13,140 pounds. That's a lot of weight. So obviously the gross vehicle weight rating is 14,000 pounds, so I was below it. But I'll be quite honest, since I left Ontario, I got the generator. And it's like everything else, you just slowly gain more weight, right? I got 18 more t-shirts and stuff like that. So when I get back to Ontario, I'm going to go back across the scales, basically the way I'm sitting right now, just to see. And I bet you I'm over top of my vehicle truck rating. But I'll bring this up again, and I know I've mentioned this in another video before. To me, the more important factor is my axle ratings and the tires. So, and I took a picture and I'll put it up here now. So you'll see that the axle ratings, I did go, when I went across the scales, I did that. I went across scales, I did the whole truck, and then I just did the axles. I thought I wrote them down or took pictures of them. I can't find them. I was well underneath. I think I was 1,000 pounds under my front axle rating and 2,200 pounds under my rear axle rating. So I was within the specs of the truck. But that's prior to me today. So I don't know what it is like today, but I definitely will be looking at that when I do get back. So far, what are my views on the truck? Love it. Have no issues. Tire issues, that's one thing I'm going to get changed pretty quick. I'm not happy with the Michelin tires. Found out that these Primacy, I believe they're called, they're actually not an off-the-shelf Michelin tire. So there's automakers, they make them strictly for the automaker. And I just do not think they're, I guess maybe if I wasn't carrying this much weight all the time and maybe going in this rough areas, they might do okay on the highway, but I definitely need to get a tougher tire. Yeah, other than that, the truck, oh, there's something I didn't mention. So I'll try to find some clips about my mileage. I'm getting on average 10 miles to the gallon as I sit today. When the truck had nothing on it, I was around 14 miles to the gallon. But pushing this big beast through the air, I'm averaging about 10. I've done days where I've got up to 13. I've done days where I've got to just 9. But on average, I'm between 10 and 10 and a half miles to the gallon. Isn't great, but I'm in a rig like this. I don't expect to get 30 miles to the gallon in something like this. If you do, Honda Civics, that's what you need to drive. So I totally expect a big truck and a big camper. I'm okay with 10 miles to the gallon. What I have found is if I lock it in at 65 miles an hour, that's my best gas mileage. So I've done a tank at 70, and I was getting around 8.5 to 9 doing 70. And I even went slower. I did it at 55 and I was getting worse gas mileage. 65, that's where she likes to be. That's her sweet spot. And I've had, like I said, I can get about 10 and a half. And on a really good day, if the wind's behind me, I'll get 11 and a half. But normally I get about 10 to 10 and a half. That's for my gas mileage. I don't know, guys. Was there anything else? You saw the suspension. Like I said, I want to get a rear sway bar and I want to put on better shocks. I don't want to get airbags. I don't think I need airbags. The truck handles well enough, and that's just something else that can go wrong, and just something else I have to mess with. So I'm as I stand right now, I'm not going to get airbags. Else? That's about it. I don't think I'm going to do anything else. Like I said, the rear sway bar and shocks. Those are the two upgrades to the suspension. But other than that, guys, that's all I'm going to do to the truck. It's working fine. It does have plenty more power than I need, to be honest. I can keep up with traffic doing 80. I've done 80 miles an hour in this thing with the truck camper on the back, and it didn't care. Gas mileage was terrible, but the truck itself didn't care. So, no, as far as that, I'm very happy with the decision about getting the gas engine. I don't need the diesel. I don't have to worry about, like I said, the DEF fluid or anything like that. So, yes, if I had a 40-foot, gooseneck trailer or something, then yeah, obviously the diesel would be the way to go. But I do know guys that have a big trailer that pull it with the gas, and it's a preference too, guys, right? It's to each his own. But I'm just telling you why I picked the gas. But yeah, I hope that answers some question, guys. If there was anything I missed or you wanted to know about, I can just do a quick clip in my next video and put it in there. But other than that, I think that's all. I think that's all we need for this one. All right, guys. So be good, be kind, be careful. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.